Hello guys, how are you doing today? If you guys are watching this video when it comes out, hope you had an amazing 4th of July. So, I post videos on the internet about other people's games and me playing them. Specifically, the ones that I talk about on dev perspective with Bloxburg and Adopt Me. The more perceptive of you may say, well, that's great and all, but why would you have a say in this? Like, what kind of developer are you? And I have an answer to that question, and I'm going to say I'm not a very good one. I'm going to be very honest with you. I've been developing for years. I think I've been developing since 2015. So I'm going to show you a few games that I developed along the way. It's mainly going to be two. I think it's going to be Evo 2 Revised and the alpha for KEZ. I'm not going to include the RR stuff because, those are mainly to prove a point that even with limited resources, anyone can develop a game that is good. As long as you have a good formula and as long as you have a good vision, you can develop as good a game as you want. So, without further ado, let's get into the first game, King's Entertainment Zombies by King's Entertainment. I didn't really put a whole lot of stock into this, so here's hoping it's still the same after this time. Alright, so here we are, the main screen for King's Entertainment Zombies. It's a very basic screen. It just has your character standing about, some flame, and, here at Get More Points, there's 3 premiums. There's also 3 passes, making it about 6 total passes, which is roughly around the median you want to be at when you have a front page game. Which, I never really intended this to get front page. This was just a game that I wanted to make because I love zombies. There's nothing here right now because I currently have all of the skills. This is currently the skill list. And if you highlight one of them, it tells you basically what it's about. Weapons, as you can see here, there's balance of WP. This is weapon points. So there's 2 types of currency. You have skill points and you have weapon points. Weapon points are used to buy weapons, and skill points are used to buy skills, which I currently have none, which, I bought all of. These 2 right here, the ones highlighted in orange, are the premium weapons of the game. They are ridiculously powerful. So I'm going to go in with the KT carbine so that way I can give you guys a general idea of all of the weapons in the game. Alright, let's exit out of that, and I'm going to play public. So you'll see right off the bat there are 2 maps. The second map is hard, the first one is medium. So the first map works just fine. The second map does not because I was trying to do something new and it broke the game, which I was in the process of fixing about 5 months ago, but I never really got around to it. So instead we're just going to play the first one. So the way the game works is there's a total of 20 waves, and when you make it to wave 20, it just starts counting the amount of kills you have, and each zombie has, a lot of health. They're nearly impossible to kill unless you have an OP weapon. So this is the way the game starts out. You have a sort of translucent arms. V is melee. Melee is effective up to wave 3. I had a friend that played with the game and the health bar is broken, so unfortunately we can't see that right now. On the left you see the amount of points that I have, and when other players join the game, their points would also be visible. You can also see the round, and you can see I'm still punching the zombies with the V melee, and it's still very efficient. Now if I were to use the KT carbine, which is the weapon you start with, it's also one of the main weapons that you would get in one of my oldest games. It has a decent amount of ammo, and then when you start firing it, it's not bad, but it's not good either. It's a good point weapon. For each hit you get on a zombie, if a zombie will appear, you get 10 weapon points, and you get 10 point points in the lower left. So And for each kill, you get 60, very similar to Call of Duty Zombies. Melee points are also the same in that regard. Now, this right here is the M4. Now, this weapon is nuts. I love it. I actually added this like really late in development for the game because I realized that your only recourses were a shotgun, an LMG, and a 3-round burst weapon as the wall weapons in the game. And I was like, hey, you know what'd be really cool? An actual fully automatic awesome weapon that had long range. And the M4 fit that perfectly. Now I know in real life M4s aren't really fully automatic. Actually, it depends. But so aside from this being a very powerful weapon, you have this weapon right here. The Machine Man. This is an old weapon that I developed a long time ago. But it's basically a shotgun that does this. It's really effective. It kills everything within range with relative ease. Now you'll notice these machines strewn about. They have a purpose, and I'm going to show you in a minute. Right here is the power. And then when I turn it on, the place gets brighter, and you can actually see. It always drives me nuts whenever my reserve is not divisible by my ammo count. But the upgrade weapon machine, the weapon upgrade device, WUD, that's actually from one of my older games that I imported into here. Every once in a while you run into an issue where you kind of like run out of ammo. But I mean, that's not a big deal. You can just sort of kind of like buy another weapon. Right now I'm going to get this over here. LMG. That's Mark II. It's really strong. Fully automatic weapon. Problem is it costs 2,400 points, which is a lot. Until you're like really late in the game, then it's really easy to come by points. But then at that point you need to start buying like other weapons because eventually this weapon's not going to cut it. Currently in the shop there's one perk that you can buy as a permanent perk, and that's this one right here. It's a crack shot, which doubles the accuracy of the weapons. And I just got, I think I named it after its COD counterpart, which is a double tap. But basically you fire 2 bullets at once. If you look really closely you can see it instead of 1. And when you use a shotgun you're firing 8 gauge. So when you use a shotgun you're actually firing 16 shots instead of 8, which can help you with points. So it's a really useful perk. The one that I just got, I think that's Commando Canteen, increases your running speed, it allows you to jump higher, and it helps you reload faster. So that one's a pretty good one as well. So if you have the KT Carbine, which is the objectively weakest weapon in the game, and you upgrade it using the upgraded weapon, or WUD, it gives you the ray gun, which, yes, is very reminiscent of its COD counterpart. In fact, it is almost exactly based off of it, except it's lazily made. If I were to fire it at a zombie, it doesn't really do a whole lot. So, very much reminiscent of the one from COD. If you fire at the ground, that's when it does the most damage, because it uses splash damage, not the actual projectile damage. It's really good for crowd control, but it's terrible for handling single zombies. So you have to be very careful with it. So this is the random weapon dispenser. I can just get a weapon. The AUG is a really good weapon. Very rapid fire. This weapon means business. And here we have the most useless weapon in the game. And I'm going to show you why in a minute. Aside from doing nothing for damage, it would seem, if I go and upgrade it, it's upgraded to the Gamma Sigma, which I honestly have no idea what they mean. I just put them together. it just does a bit more damage. It doesn't have a reskin like some of the other weapons do. It doesn't get some crazy ability, it's just a bit more damage. And it has less ammo than the previous version. So, I mean, it's not complete garbage. It's just not a preferred weapon of choice. I mean, I'm on round 13 and it's two-shotting, but that's with double tap. So, you know, not brilliant. The Uzi, second worst weapon in the game. It's a heck of a point-earning weapon, I'll give it that. If you look at my points, you'll notice that they're, like, escalating so quickly. I gain, like, 400 points a burst because of, you know, the double tap bullets. So, the Man Machina upgraded is pretty good. It's actually broken good. If you look at the ammo and you see the damage I'm doing, it's pretty ridiculous with the upgraded ray gun. It's honestly my preferred weapon. Like whenever I play my own game for whatever reason. So we're at round 20, and as you can see, it's starting to calculate my kills. It's no longer calculating my wave. The zombies just infinitely spawn, and they spawn like crazy. There's no end. But as I said, this weapon's my go-to weapon when it comes to dispatching of zombies on the 20th wave. This thing is crazy. If you guys ever want to give it a shot, this game is fun to play if you have like 4 teammates and you just get some really strong weapons and then you just hold out over here. 766 isn't that bad. Alright, so Evo 2 revised. Fair warning, this is a tycoon game, so play at your own risk, yada yada. Let's play. Right off the bat, you see the hilarious running animation. Jumping animation is pretty okay, I guess. It's a very basic map. You know, this was mostly like my play place for a few years. So the way that this game works is it doesn't save where you're at. It just saves the it doesn't save your buttons. It just saves the placement you're at. So like if you're on the 5th stage, it doesn't save your progress on that stage. It saves your stage. So let's say I'm on the final stage right now. If I were to leave right now, it would bring me back to the final stage. But the reason that this game is pretty cool is because of the customized combat system that I have for it. You'll notice in the bottom left, there are areas called schools. There's a tutorial that talks about it and stuff if you ever want to play the game. The 62 right next to the health bar is the amount of bullets that I have for my gunslinger style. The 12 seconds right there, that is directly under that, is the time that it takes to regenerate my bullets and my TP. So right now, I think I'm sitting at about 54 health or something. I don't quite remember, but I do remember that the green bar fills up at 32 health, and the player in the game starts with 16 health, and I think you can get a lot of health. Swordsman's pretty simple. You click and you start attacking. You hold down the click and you keep attacking. There are perks in the evolve category that allow you to get more stuff. And it's basically like a skill tree style thing. So let's see. So the max health is plus 24, so 16 plus 24 is 40. But I have a reward for being a Master Plus in the group, which by the way, if you guys ever want to join the group, you get bonuses for this game for being in the group. In general, there are 4 trees that you can select. There's the health tree, there's the TP tree, which allows you to strike more, and any TP requiring skills, or some skills, most skills actually, require you to have technique points. So having an abundance of technique points would be great. I actually did the math, and for every technique point you have, it increases your chances of winning the battle by about 8%. or like it increases like your total battle power by about 8%. Then there's gradual currency +1, gradual currency +2. So then you have the other shops right here, the swordsman and gunslinger shops. We'll get into like this last tree and the last bit because it's harder to explain. So in the first tree of swordsmen, you have the combos. It's combos +1, combos +2, and then sword pro. So these are just additional attacks that deal more damage. Combo +2 does, so your initial strike, like when you first start the game, you have 16 health, 16 TP. Your initial strike does 2 health. Your second strike does 2 health. And then if you get the third strike, it does 3 health. And then when you get the fourth strike, it does 4 health. There is another ability called Sword Pro, which decreases the amount of TP your basic attacks consume. So basically, instead of your first 2 attacks taking 1, and then your second 2 attacks taking 2, it's now 0, 0, 1, 1. So you can technically just kind of like hack at someone and it not take any TP at all. And my favorite skill in the game is Assassin Rush, which allows you to teleport a short distance in the direction of your mouse. It, of course, requires TP regardless of how many upgrades you get. Genmu Zero, which is inspired by Genmu Rei from Mega Man X5. It's Zero's final form, which basically he becomes invisible and starts slashing at you with his sword. That's basically what it is. It's just a wave created from your sword, and it's a really powerful skill. It consumes a lot of TP though. And then there's another move, which is Earth Crush. Basically, if I press F, it doesn't consume as much TP as Genmu Rei does. It makes me invincible, it has a wide reach, and it flings opponents. The problem is, if the opponent is at the same level as you, or higher, then it is impossible to kill them with that move and that move alone. You can fling them a pretty far distance. The problem is, if they're using Rekoha 2, then it is quite literally impossible to kill them. So it is a little balanced. It's just a little bit broken too. Pressing 1 and 2 or clicking them, like if I click them like this, it switches ordinarily, and you can see a flash that occurs when I switch them. And I can press 1 and 2 and that'll still do that. So if I press 2, it goes to Gunslinger, and if you look at the top left, my bullet count starts going down when I start shooting. And then if I press R, it switches to Uzis, which fire much faster than the pistols do. And then if you have some TP left, because every skill uses TP, I think you can jump in the sky, press T, and you can fire a rocket. And if you're precise with it, you can do rocket jumps. The arsenal. So the arsenal is pretty interesting. It starts you out in the armor category, and then it shows you this. Basically, you can go around the map. You can stand on. Let me teleport real quick. These panels right here, you can find them around the map. And then when you find them, it'll tell you what part it is, and then you can just equip it here. And then they increase the value of certain abilities. The Outlaw you get from completing the Tycoon game. You have a bunch of blades here on the left. Only 2 of the blades are available to the public. One of them is purchasable, and one of them is as of current tester only. So the Crescendo blade is the one that's open to the public. The Outlaw, not that one, is just 6 shooters. It's regular 44 pistols. And the Crescendo is the Crescendo. And it has a nice little profile, so that way when it spawns, particles can emit from the sword, and it's really cool. So this was one of my really old games a long time ago. Basically, I just had a bunch of basic weapons and stuff coded a long time ago. This map I initially planned out to be something else. The weapons in here kind of stuck with me for a little while. I actually used it for the first iteration of the game that you just saw. So the M16A2 was my first sort of experiment with first shoulder weapons and then fired. So basically it starts out shouldered and then you rear it up and then it fires. As you can see, there's not really spread, which there has been in the previous few ones. So this stuck with me for a little while. The problem with these scripts right here is that they're all local scripts and thus are quite ineffective when it comes to being an actual game, because all games now, this didn't used to really be a thing when I started out coding and developing. So these are all client-sided. There was no such thing as filter enabled, so you could theoretically code an entire game that way. But people wanted to hack the games, and that's why we can't have nice things. So now we have server-sided games instead, and we can't have experimental mode anymore. Which, I mean, it's a good thing, because it pushed the developers back in that era to actually take it seriously and to actually server-side their games, which is what I ended up doing, and why, like, I did it just in time. I think it was back in like 2017 or something, but I was able to filter enable some of my more popular games just in time, so like all of my work wasn't useless. The problem was I did get rid of a bunch of stuff from my old games. Alright, so here's another game that I was helping a friend with a little while ago. All of the things that you see here are like made by me. I actually think I had a dev stream. Yeah, I had a dev stream about this game before. I don't think I ever really went over it in depth, but basically this is the way it turned out. So, it's not fully finished yet. We're still like waiting on a few things, including an updated map, because my map sucks. I mean, my game is pretty, like, my scripting's pretty good, not to toot my own horn or anything, but my building is bad. Like, really bad. As you can see, I have sort of kind of an aura around me. So the aura is my own. The main owner has a blue one, I think. The other one has a blue one also, and I have a red one. Just to keep, like, a difference between them. These training dummies that just sustain damage, they don't really do anything. And then you have this Shinobi student, which is 100% an AI that can fight. I guess I can go a little bit in depth on how his AI works, if you guys want me to. If you guys want me to make a video about anything, like any of the games that I've talked about thus far, let me know in the comments. And also like, comment, and subscribe while you're at it. Join the Discord server, please. Okay, thank you. You can go into the menu, and you can select other skills that you want to use. You do have an unlocked lion combo and leaf hurricane from the beginning as well, and you can just go ahead and equip those. They just don't currently have any emblems, which I will be working on eventually, now that I think about it. So lion combo is pretty basic. By the way, if you press L, if your mouse is not on anyone, then it just locks on to the closest humanoid. But if your mouse is on a specific humanoid, then it locks onto them. And it shows you their current health. If you're a Uchiha, I think it's called, then it will show you their chakra level. Which is instrumental against AI, because based on what the AI's chakra level is the level of, jutsu it'll put out. So that aside, let's get into like more of the jutsu and stuff. So the lion combo is pretty simple. You just kick them into the air, and then you kick them back down. Leaf Hurricane is also pretty simple. It's just a round kick. It closes distance really fast. It's pretty good. As you can see, damage-wise, it's pretty good. Now this game, unlike the previous games, if you if you click, it just punches once instead of like holding it down and it destroying the enemy. So the final attack is a lot heavier than the other attacks, which I think makes it a little bit more balanced to use that attack. But I haven't really used any of the jutsu yet, which I'm about to. R is fireball, and then you make the hand signals, fires the fireball, damages the enemy. Wind cutter does the same thing. It's just more invisible, quicker, harder to dodge. Liquid bullet is just easily released jutsu. And then Chidori is pretty interesting because it's just it increases your speed, just as it does in the, anime. When you punch someone, it does an increased amount of damage to them. Problem is, when you activate it, you cannot activate any other jutsu, and it takes a lot out of you. I think I might stand a chance. So yeah, he is a little powerful. He's not too crazy though. If you're really good at the game, he's basically fodder. Just run away from him the whole time. That's fine. So I have just leveled up. So I can go into the menu and then go into attributes and set my attribute points to whatever I want. I think that's it. Aside from the RR games that I've made, those are all the games that I've helped with recently. Links will be in the description if you ever want to play them. If you have any ideas for future videos, let me know in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe. Discord channel, please join in description too. If I can learn how to talk and if I can learn how to end a video. Bye-bye or something.